Okay, let's do some DD. DD, what the hell is DD? DD is due diligence. But what it really is, or what you could think of it as, is stock research. Okay, we're going to do this one here. Novit Technologies. Went up 900% yesterday. And let's try to figure out why. Well, today's the 16th. And they filed a 1012G on Thursday. So let's look at that one and see what the hell that is. Okay. A Form 10 is a registration. In other words, they're going to register some stock with the SEC. Well, let's read a little bit of this. This isn't hard, guys. Novent is filing this general form for registration on Form 10, which we refer to as registration, to register its common stock. Okay? This registration statement will become effective automatically, blah, 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 blah. So, but here's something. This company hasn't had a real filing since 2011, okay? And so now it's 8 years later, and these guys decide to file a Form 10. Now before that, the last filing in 2011 is a Form 15, which says, what that one does is it deregisters shares. Most companies have to have their shares registered, but not necessarily with the SEC. If they want to not register them anymore, they keep trading. There's no difference in the trading. But basically what this means is that they don't have to keep reporting. They don't have to keep filing 8Ks and 10Qs and all that stuff. They deregister them, so now they're not registered, but they still trade, just the same as they did before. But the only thing this basically means is that they don't have to spend money on 10Ks, which need to be audited, and they have to pay these auditors hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they don't have the money lots of times, or they want to save the money or put it somewhere else. So they file this Form 15, which says, hey, we're not going to file anymore, and that's why we're filing this. And the SEC is perfectly all right with that, okay? And they can't really, the SEC has no reason to kill them. In other words, terminate their shares, because, hey, they did everything right. Now, one interesting thing about a Form 15 is it should be filed while you are still current. In other words, while you are still filing. Now, these guys, the last 10Q was in 2009, okay? So technically, in 2011, these guys were delinquent, okay? They still filed the Form 15 to deregister them, but in theory, you really should file this 15, which says you don't have to report anymore while you are current. In other words, they should have filed this in 2009, okay? But they did. Anyway, so 8 years later, they decide, hey, let's register some shares. Let's re-register these shares because we want to get more legitimate, right? So what that means is, as of the I gotta scroll this thing back and forth. Effective date, we will be subject to the requirements of Reg 13 under the Exchange Act and will be required to file annual reports on Form 10K. These are the ones that need to be audited, these annual reports, and quarterly reports on Form 10Q, and current material events on Forms 8K. Okay? We will be required to comply with all the other obligations that the SEC has, blah, 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 blah. So what this means is this company, 8 years later, is going to become current. They're going to start filing with Edgar, okay, because they're trying to register these shares. You can't register shares unless you're, compliant, unless you're filing all these things. So that's what's going to happen with this. All right. I think I'm going to make a separate video on this little baby right here, an SC13D, which is really, really interesting. Okay? So that's it for this video. Check the next one. I'll be looking at this SC13.